All right, it's 9 o'clock. We'll call the Finance Committee meeting to order. Becky, would you do the roll?
Jim Sheeline.
Here.
Jennifer Dallas.
Here.
Tom Kitson is here. He's in the other room. He'll be here. Mike Book,
Here.
Nancy Naylor, Reed Acree,
Here.
Jason Anderson.
Here.
Thank
All
you.
right, everybody have a chance to look at, now we're going off of last month's minutes for the regular Finance Committee meeting. Did everybody have a chance to look at them? Any additions or corrections? Hearing none, moved by approval, moved by Naylor, seconded by Reed, Acree, I should say. All those in favor signify by saying aye. He looked at me. I didn't see his, it's like auctioneering, you know, you see the finger wingle.
You're ahead of you.
There's a second. So there we go. Motion carried. All right. All right. Go around the room. Jeremy, do you got anything for us besides what's on the agenda?
No, sir.
Charlie?
No, sir.
Jim, I know why you're here. Do you have anything else for us? Great day. Thanks for being here. Reed?
Nope.
Clay?
No, sir.
Paul?
No.
Mike? Sarah? Patty? Amy? That's it. First. Nancy? Thanks, guys. Thank you all for being here this morning. Good morning. All right, monthly financials. Reed, take it away.
All right. So good news, if we're looking at our general fund, our expenses this month, we're coming in, ahead of schedule. So we're at 35% of our expenditures left, when mathematically by the month, we should be at 33. So department heads are tightening up a little bit, so that is good to make sure that we're under budget at the end of the year. We did start we got our first distribution for property tax revenue. So that is good and helping out the fund balance for county general. If you are looking at those cash balances and see that giant swing from last month to this month, that is a combination of both the property taxes that we received, as well as we did transfer the public safety bond money back to county general. I think we talked a little bit about that last month.
Sure.
I guess any questions on general fund revenues or expenses?
Any questions from the committee for Reed?
None for me.
From the revenues that we're getting, sales tax, it still is up. We're continuing to get higher amounts than previous months last year. Use tax, probably don't see it in your information, but we did get notification yesterday that that's going to be around the 12,000 mark for August, which is a tick up from what we had been getting over the last 5 months. We were averaging around 7,000. It was slowly ticking up. So we did reach out to our contact at the Department of Revenue. He said that he does not get notified of when they are doing those adjustments to the retailers. And so there wasn't really a whole lot for him to tell us about whether or not we were going to be kind of down at that 6,000 or 7,000, but it ticking up in August, I think is maybe a good sign that maybe they're getting through some of those, and then hopefully we'll have a better idea over the next few months to see how use tax is going to come in the rest of the year, so that we can budget appropriately for it. But those few months in there where we're only getting 6,000 or 7,000 versus 30 or 40 that we had in the previous years, we were, before that happened, we would have planned on getting 500,000, and now it might be 100. So hopefully that continues to tick up over the rest of the year, and we can readjust our forecast for our budget appropriations.
So I do, just as an aside to that, I think it's a credit to our group here is that I got a chuckle from an email Paul sent me in regards to, we've been talking about this use tax for what?
December.
Yeah, six months, at least
Probably
8 months.
January.
And the person will remain unnamed, but
Thank you.
Paul gets a email from another county official from a different county saying, hey, you guys know anything about this local use tax? So credit to our staff that we've been talking about this and trying to prepare for it for a long time. Appreciate that.
The only other big revenue item to talk about, landfill, we kind of only get, they only deposit funds with us and provide us with reports quarterly. But it looks like we are above what our budgeted revenues are gonna be. If they come in consistently with fourth quarter of last year, we should be, $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 above our budgeted amount. So that's good. And that solid waste fund, right, that we have that $2 million, floor that we have to keep in that fund. And so any excess that we get in that solid waste fund at the end of the year, we can transfer over to county general. So it's good to see that one coming in above budget. I guess any questions on any of the other reports?
Any questions for Reed? All right. Thank you, Reed. Appreciate that. Yeah, I didn't see anything that stuck out to me. It's glad that the economy's still staying strong and those sales tax revenues continue to be strong. So that's all a good thing. All right, moving on. Insurance Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Insurance Committee met this past week on Tuesday afternoon. The purpose of the meeting was to finalize our coverage for next year with Blue Cross Blue Shield. If you remember at last month's meeting, we had some options that were given to us. During the past month, the committee, the department heads, along with Susan Gillespie and our HR department, reviewed some of the things, as well as did Tom and I. And the consensus was with the committee and also with the guidance of the IBP liaison, Angie, to continue to stay with the current plan. Most of the counties are doing that just because there's a little unknown here. So if we continue with the current plan, we incur just the regular percentage of increase of 13.5 that we were planning on, not wanting, but planning on. And then these other options that we had, they might make a small percentage, 0.5% of an adjustment, but they would require some participant reporting that might not be worthy of it. So we're going to take a good look at it next year to see how it trends and what it does. But that's what we decided to do, and that will be effective September 1st, 2025 for the next year. In addition, Tom, Susan, and I had a discussion about the fact that we need to start the first of the year, and it'll be our 5 years that we've had this particular plan. And the last time that we did a comp with some of the other companies, as well as the counties around us, and we're going to start with that process so that we can spend some time in the year looking to see if the insurance rates are where we need to be, if that's the company and all the various things that we did 5 years ago. Hard to believe it was that. That's my report. If there are any questions, I'll be happy to try to answer them.
Any questions for Nancy? And I know I've asked this question before. All of the budget docs have incorporated the increase in the health insurance.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Nancy.
Oh, I also have, pardon me, can I jump back in?
No, go ahead.
I asked Sarah to give a wellness report.
Yep.
Sorry, Sarah, I was thinking you were doing ARPA and then wellness.
I'm here for a wellness report. Tracy Bay from the Health Department and I are co-chairs of the Wellness Committee. We met on July 29th, and I'll just give you a few highlights of what we've been working on, what we've got going on. We were able to finalize the employee discount for the YMCA membership. So effective July 1st, all Lee County employees are offered a 5% membership discount. If they are not a current Y member, the Y is waiving the new member fee. There's just a form to fill out, and Susan had emailed that out to all employees with the current rates. This applies for single all the way up to family rates. So any rate that the Y offers, we can take advantage of that 5% discount. The Wellness Committee worked on bringing some vending machines to the Sheriff's Department, Old Courthouse, New Courthouse. We've had some issues with those, and those are going to be removed next week on August 20th. The Wellness Committee is seeking some new options. So once if we're able to secure a new option, we'll let everyone know. The Wellness Committee paid the registration fee for employees who wish to participate in the Reagan Run 5K over the 4th of July weekend. We had 15 employees register for it. A majority of them were walkers. I believe at least half invited friends or family to join them for the walk. We did have a few runners, and one of our employees and Wellness Committee members, Amy Nudio from the assessor's office, took first place in her age division. So we had good success with that. That's something that we plan on offering in 2026 as well, and hoping to encourage more employee participation. Wellness account balance, wellness funds are $85,681.29. So we have our annual biometric event coming up in October, which will use up quite a bit of those funds to offer that between the testing, the incentives, and just putting that event on. We discussed some lunch and learn options. So we are offering 5 lunch and learns coming up at the end of August, beginning of September. These are going to focus around insurance and biometrics. The committee discussed after the insurance committee met, and we kind of talked about all of these other plans and programs that come along with Blue Cross Blue Shield that a lot of employees don't know about or don't utilize. Some of them can provide rewards. There's some weight loss and health incentive programs. So we are focusing our lunch and learn on insurance, those programs, and the importance of participation in biometrics to make sure that we get the word out and answer any questions, as well as introducing employees to the new HR director if they have any insurance questions. So we have 2 of those set up at the Lee County Sheriff's Office for their employees. Those are August 26th and August 28th, noon to 1. We have an event here at the Old Courthouse, noon to 1 on August 27th. We are offering a highway department only event at 7 a.m. at the highway department before they start their shift. That will be on the morning of September 4th. And then in the afternoon of September 4th, we have an event at the Lee County Health Department in their first floor conference room. Lunch will be provided, and we'll provide information on insurance and biometrics. Speaking of biometrics, the dates are going to be October 8th and October 15th. That will be offered at the Post House this year instead of at the church that we have used for several years. We thought that would be a good idea because it's closer to a majority of our employees, and we can encourage them to walk to their testing and walk back to their office. As far as incentives for participation, it remains the same as last year. It's going to be the $200 Tango e-gift card and then a $25 lunch gift card for each participant. The city of Dixon reached out to Tracy and I. They are new with the IPBC. They have not formed a wellness committee, but it's something that they were looking at. So Tracy and I met with them in July. They were working on forming a wellness committee, wanted some ideas of what we've done here, what's worked, what hasn't worked. So we may be partnering with them in the future to offer some employee challenges. We talked about City of Dixon employees versus Lee County employees for like weight loss, fitness, steps challenges. We also talked about law enforcement challenges like Dixon PD versus Lee County Sheriff's Department. So some of that may be coming our way in the next year or two once they form their committee and kind of get a plan going. Our next meeting is October 28th at 2:00 in the Health Department Conference Room, if anyone would like to join us. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. I just want to say and let the committee know, Sarah and Tracy are doing such a fabulous job with this wellness committee. So thank you very much.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
I assume the biometrics involves blood screening. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. So it's a 37 panel blood screen. It is at no cost to the employees. It's offered to employees on the insurance, their spouses that are on the insurance, retirees and retiree spouses that are on the insurance. The test results come back in about 24 to 48 hours. We also offer free flu shots from the Lee County Health Department as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, great program. And Clay, Clay, friendly competition with the city, but I expect you to win.
I plan on it.
Good man. Morning, Mr. Kitson. All right. All right, Jeremy, do you have anything for us this morning?
Outside of what's on the agenda, the only other thing to note that's significant to budget planning is that through, last year we talked about implementing the merit-based raise system for all of our non-union employees. Our Human Resources Director, Susan Gillespie, did create a new employee evaluation form that is designed to support those goals back to our merit structure. As we've been working to implement that, we've gotten feedback from our department heads that there just hasn't been enough time to fully implement that system this year. So what we're doing is we're kicking that back to implement in FY27. And talk to the department heads to make sure that they are using that new form moving forward, so that we could go through any questions, concerns, make sure that's implemented and have a smoother rollout for next year. Due to that, we have made a decision to go back to essentially our flat raise that we issue for all the non-union employees for FY26, and that's going to typically be aligned with our CPI. So we're still reviewing that, and then we're going to plug that into the budgets and present that to you guys. But I just wanted you to know that that's going to be a change that we weren't expecting to have this year, but it just works for everybody, and we'll continue on.
Any questions for Jeremy?
Yeah,
Go ahead, Jason.
in regards to union versus non-union, so the non-union employees do not get the same increase as the union employees. Is that what I understand?
So traditionally, there was similar raises to what the non-union and union employees were for the Teamster side of things. But it's a little bit, we were restructuring it that non-union employees would get merit-based raises dependent upon their evaluations. And that's what we are planning on doing for FY26.
And those merit increases are put into the budget.
Correct.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? Okay. Move on with the agenda. We now have, I just about did again. You should have been ready to jump in, Sarah, because I was scrolling up and I went right over the ARPA report, and I'm not going to do that to you again. So we'll have the quarterly ARPA report.
All right,
There on
Patty.
Patty.
Patty and I are here for the quarterly ARPA report. On our report is there in your onboard. We had a total award of 6.6 million. All of the funds were to be obligated by December 31st of 2024, which we have done. The spreadsheet that is attached on the second page highlights all of the projects and the expenditures. We submitted our annual report to Treasury on April 22nd, 2025. I think I had mentioned it before, but Patty and I have found each annual report we do, they're looking for more information. So some of those expenses that we have already closed out and fully reported on, we have to go back in, reopen, and report additional information. We've noticed that each year that they're looking for more information. We do not have any information on a closeout report yet. There was some talk about it earlier this year when I viewed a webinar and received some information, but we have not received any other information about what that looks like, what information they're going to be seeking. Right now, Treasury's current priority is monitoring the obligation of funds. So they are checking to make sure that everybody that has received funds has obligated those by that December 31st, 2024 deadline. If they have not obligated them or if they have not spent them in compliance with the rules, then they are in touch with them. That is a lot of the information that I've seen when I attended a webinar. That's what the focus was. So I believe that's their focus right now, is making sure that if there was funds spent incorrectly or not used, that they're recouping those funds back. I did notice a typo on my report. I have 12/31 of 2025. It should be 12/31 of 2024 was the deadline for obligating those. And then in December of this year, 2025, Patty and I will come to you with a final wrap-up and presentation of how all of the funds were used. So we're going to present a PowerPoint just from when we had the ARPA committee, what some of the priorities were, where some of those early projects were, and what all of that funding was. So we will highlight all of that for you to wrap up the end of the year.
Very good. Any questions, Sarah, on ARPA? Hearing none. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll see you in next quarter. Hopefully we'll have a little bit more. I would think that the date's got to be 27. You know, if everything has to be expended by the 26th, surely they'll wrap it up by July of 27. Fingers crossed.
I would hope we would have a closeout report. We were talking about it this morning, and we're hoping that when we do our annual report next April, so in April of 2026, we may have some more information. You know, they may have that closeout report available, so then we at least know what information they're seeking,
Right.
what we would need to do to prepare for that report.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah, Jason.
Is there any way to understand or measure the impact, the economic impact that these funds actually created for the county?
Is that part of the reporting?
It's not part of the reporting. We list the amount and that was expended on the project. But no, we don't have, you know, a
Yeah,
specific
I
amount.
probably the answer to that is no. And every jurisdiction was able to use their money the way they saw fit. And
Right,
so many
right.
of them used it, like the majority of the funds that we used to fix the HVAC system across the street. You know, that was what, about two thirds of it. And
I guess I would say a good place to look is our capital balance and how that is different before ARPA funds versus after.
yeah,
And I think before we were probably in violation of our 60-day covenants before that, and now we've been able to at least build up a balance of closer to 90 days.
yeah, that's fair.
I know that Ogle County put $500,000 aside for economic development.
So
And,
Jason, what I was about to say is that we had used quite a bit of our funds as well for small business grants. So throughout Lee County, and in the reporting that Sarah and Patty have, it shows all of those grants that we put back into our communities and our economies through small business grants. And we could probably do an analysis on that if that's what you're talking about.
Well, what I'd really like to understand is with all that money that the government expended, did any of it come back to us in a positive way? You know, and the idea that, did you save 15 businesses that actually saved all the sales tax that created? The idea, I come from a private sector mindset that, you know, when you invest in something, you'd like to see something in return.
Right. And I think that that's me going back to, we injected quite a bit of those funds into our small business community, making sure that those businesses stayed alive during the pandemic when there were closures. So a lot of those businesses are still around because we were able to do that with those funds.
Right. I just, from a public relations standpoint, I'd like to say, you know, why not celebrate the idea that, you know, all these businesses are still here because the county decided to support it.
Right.
And there should be I would think some positive things should be reported out of that.
For sure. Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. Anything else on ARPA? All righty. Thank you, Sarah. And point taken, well taken, Jason. That was a lot of money that got spread across the country. And hopefully that the economic benefit of that, you know, has been felt.
Unfortunately, I think the perception is the government just wasted it all. And I'd like to think that maybe here we really did some things that maybe positively impacted the community, positively impacted the county, and preserved some, you know, revenues that would have otherwise not been there if there's some way to quantify it.
Right. Okay.
I guess one to
We'll talk
point out
about
is I know we paid the food permit fees for a few years for local restaurants and stuff to help reduce their costs during that time.
And I guess
the
I would
champion.
also say that, you know, Lee County got 6.6 million of ARPA money But I think in the early days, we looked at the payroll protection and some of the other cares or whatever. When you looked at the government website, there was about 60 to 70 million that came to Lee County. Am I remembering that correct? And that went to that directly went to businesses, individuals who applied for it. So when you talk about an economic impact, really our 6.6 was minimal compared to what the individuals were getting directly from the federal government. And there's a federal website out there that showed that.
And that's just Lee County. 60.
Just Lee County.
Correct. That's correct.
Yeah.
We
Why
found
we have a
that
deficit?
early on.
I understand.
Yep.
Federal.
And that goes hand in hand.
And then the return, if you look at our financials, if I remember correctly, PPRT was through the roof at that time. So was income tax, and now sales tax is, inflation has something to do with that, but sales tax is up year over year over year over year. So, I guess that's the return you may be looking for that's coming back to us in those respects.
Well, and it sounds parochial, but us having the ARPA funds used to what we used over across the street, we would have had to do a bond.
Yeah.
It would have been.
That was
you know,
3.3 million of
Yeah,
ARPA.
and that was
of the s-
huge.
Or three of
But
the
there again,
six.
it's the idea of quantifying all these benefits and being able to communicate them to the world. That, we are very responsible for what we did, and this is the return we got.
Right. So, understand
Yeah,
the question.
I think
So-
that spreadsheet that they have of all the different projects truly shows the impact. We have it down to the penny, what we spent and where we spent it and what we did with it.
Right. So, okay, on with the agenda, we got approval of the monthly Joseph E. Meyer resolutions, and we do have one resolution. Everybody have a chance to look at that? And if you have, I'll entertain a motion to move this on to executive for put on the county board. Moved by Dallas, seconded by Kitson. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, motion carried. And as usual, I always compliment the sheriff. I really, I don't say that facetiously, Clay, really. I really enjoy I don't always enjoy reading the stuff that you have in there, but it is so valuable, to me as a county board member, to see some of the things that your guys are facing with. And, and it's just like the story on the gal that barricaded herself in the house. I mean, our guys were cooperating with the city to make sure that there was a safe and good outcome to a pretty volatile situation. So appreciate that report every month. And if you want to make any comments, please.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, definitely believe in collaborating to get the job done and get it done safely. So thank you guys.
Okay, new business. And Jim, we're to you. So if you want to come on up and join us at the table. And in the meantime, Jeremy, can you get Jim's budget up?
That would be a question for Sarah. We don't understand. That's not what we did.
And make sure your mic is on green, Jim. And Kitson is an exaggerator extraordinaire, so, we are a friendly group.
We're two of a kind.
Anyway, appreciate you coming in, and we've got new folks around the table. As I know that you know, this is Jim Gorman. He's head of our Veterans Affairs, and does a great job for us.
Veterans Assistance, not
Assistance.
Veterans
Yep,
Affairs.
yep.
Do not confuse me with those people.
Sorry, appreciate the clarification. But anyway, Jim, could you just, for the benefit of the group, can you kind of talk about what your office does, and then I'm sure they'll have some questions for you.
right now, basically, I've been in the position 10 years. Rich Sanders was here before me, 17 years. The Veterans Assistant Commission was instituted by the state of Illinois many years ago that every county should have a Veterans Assistant Commission. And basically, the job is to provide transportation for the veterans to their medical appointments at VA hospitals and clinics. We also offer some food assistance for low income, which they come in, apply. We have a Veterans Assistant Board that basically I am employed by the board and the county board, so I have two bosses. And whenever somebody applies, that application goes to our Veteran Assistant Commission Board, which is made up of all the veteran organizations in Lee County, those that are still active. And we do the food through Oliver's. They get $50 every other month for food items only. Then we also do some low-income utility assistance, heat, light, power, things of that nature. No cell phones, no cable TV, no direct TV, no internet, anything like that. It has to be where it's helping them out, but they still have to pay a portion of it. And also, I mentioned rent utility. We do rent utility also. So that's pretty much what my job is, other than the fact that you mentioned Veterans Affairs. I probably get 30 phone calls a month asking, how do I file a claim for benefits, whether it's burial benefits or disability benefits. And in the budget, that's kind of where the big jump is, because a couple of years ago, the state of Illinois mandated an unfunded position to the counties, all the counties in the state of Illinois, that every county should have a veteran service officer. That position is going to be someone who can file those claims, who does know the laws, you know, what veterans can do, what they can't do with their disability, how to go about filing those. We've been talking about this position for about 5 years. 2 years ago or 3 years ago, the state came out with what is called the Illinois Military Veterans Assistant Act. And that's where the funding comes in for that, how to go about the funding in that nature. So that's pretty much, if there's any questions.
So to understand, this is, I think you said the state mandated it, but it didn't fund it. So that's,
I just got an email from the Attorney General's office Monday, and there's going to be a webinar because everybody is so confused with this and where's the money coming from or whatever. The Veterans Assistant Commission is funded by the county real estate taxes. Per the state statute, the Veterans Assistant Commission is supposed to get 0.02% of the assessed evaluation every year. And I think, Paul, you and I have talked a little bit, and we're not quite at the 0.02. We're pretty close to it.
Yeah, we're right there. We're maybe just slightly over. I was thinking it was 0.03.
Okay,
So, and I thought we were real close to 0.03.
okay.
So, yeah, and we look at that during the levy process every year. Yes, to make sure that we are levying.
So, but the veteran service position, veteran service officer position is basically what we're talking about. So, again, that was mandated unfunded position, kind of just like the fingerprint thing for the sheriff's department and stuff like that. They said, you got to put it in. Now you figure out how to pay for it.
So if you look at the budget request, so from last year's budget request to this year's budget request, $37,000 to $87,000. So we're increasing that levy line out of the
Out of county general, basically.
Yeah, basically
It-
out of
it
county
basically, we're moving more of county general to the veterans assistant line. To the
So,
tune
but
of-
because of the uncertainty, we stuck in the 60,000 for the requested funds on the salary for the officer. But we really don't know how that's going to play out yet.
Well, Jeremy and I talked, and we're looking at $21 to $22 an hour. So that would figure out to about $42,000, somewhere in that for that position. But they would be a county employee, so that goes into pension and insurance and other things to go into the office.
Right.
So that's why it looks like it's, the 60,000.
Right. Okay. It's there on the salary officer line item, Jason. All right. Reed, do you have any comments?
Yeah, I guess I was the one that adjusted the levy amount, just because knowing that we put that amount in the expense line, I moved that in there. Theoretically, we don't have to. We can keep it in county general, but we need to then also know that we are going to also be funding that position in some way, right? Whether you move it or you don't.
Right.
It keeps the restriction if you keep it in general, but for just analysis, I put it in there. The fund balance of the Veterans Assistance Fund, there's a little bit in there to accommodate some of that additional expense for maybe a few years, where we wouldn't necessarily need to make that levy match the expenses because we have that fund balance available. But 4 or 5 years down the line, use up all that fund balance, you're gonna have to get it somewhere. So I guess those would be the points that I would like to make about where we're at. We can choose to do whatever we need to.
All right. Jeremy, do you got any comments? So
No.
what time frame are we looking to get? Because I think you've got the job posted, correct?
We do not.
Oh,
We
you
have
do
the
not?
posting
I was-
ready.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Ready,
But I was not going to post that until we knew that we were going to budget for this position.
Gotcha. Okay.
Jim, how do people know about the benefits that your office provides?
Well, we've done Facebook, I've done some radio stuff and through the veterans organizations, the Legion, the VFW, the Vet Memorial Park, Department of Disabled American Veterans and things like that. And I've gone to those meetings and that. Usually it's word of mouth.
Yeah.
One veteran, comes to get some help, somebody else comes in, stuff like that. So.
And how, I mean, there's a lot of veterans services. How do we prevent redundancy or there seems to be a lot of redundancy in a lot of things that
Yeah, pretty much with what we do, there's only one place they can come for that, and that's through the county. Yeah, there is a lot of redundancy, they're popping up all the time, and it's hard to weed through who's what and, who's legitimate and who's not. A few years ago, it was Wounded Warriors Project was supposed to be so great. They were running TVs, and then come to find out there was a little hanky-panky going on in the higher ups and stuff like that. So, yeah, and at home, I get probably 4 to 5 mailings every week about some project, give us this, give us that. But, yes, those people are probably doing services, but the veterans know that we're doing services. The biggest majority, the largest portion of my job is transportation, arranging rides. We do have a van that we lease from Iowa City, and that van only goes to Iowa City. And we use volunteer drivers for that position.
you do
I-
volunteers.
Yep. Iowa City the VA actually pays for the funding of that. We write them a check every month. It's they call it a donation, we call it a van lease. And they provide the gas, they provide the service on the vehicle, tires, anything else that has to be done. They, obviously it's a government vehicle, so it's licensed and insured through the VA.
But you don't go to Madison, you don't go to.
We go to Madison, we go to Iowa City, we go to Sterling, we go to Freeport, we go to Rockford, we go to Aurora. We've been to Milwaukee, we go to Hines, we go to Peru. So, there's transportation almost every single day because, since COVID, it's cut down quite a bit because the VA has cut down their services. They're actually doing more phone appointments. It's hard to believe that you can do a physical over the phone, but they do it. Things of that nature. So a lot of the transportation is cut down. Myself personally, I'm going through an issue with the VA right now that I'm probably ended up going to have to go to UW Swedish American for it rather than go to Madison. So yeah, we've been, our volunteer drivers, most of them, believe it or not, are in their 80s.
Sure.
And, I have one that is not a veteran, but all the rest of them are veterans. We were at 15 before COVID and we're down to 5 right now. So, in that, so.
Wow. Any other questions for Jim? Yep. Tom?
Jim, you mentioned the assistance for people, both food and housing. Is that number very large and does it increase? Or
It's the same thing. A lot of, going back to redundancy, if they're getting like WIC or stuff like that, they can't get it from us. So I kind of monitor that. It's hate to say this, but it's the regulars.
Well, but are you seeing, is the number increasing?
No,
Okay.
no, and talking to the other counties around, they're the same way. It's just mind boggling that we hear nobody's working, there's no jobs. We can't find a job, go to work, but they're still not coming in to get the assistance.
Okay, thank you.
Nancy?
Jim, I just wanted to, for the group, concur with what Jim said, Jason, about the advertising. I work through the Senate office with a lot of veterans. They call the Office for Help and things like that. And most of them are very aware of county offices like Jim runs and also the other counties that are in our district. And they know a lot more about it sometimes than I do. So they do know what's going on. Thank you for doing that, Jim.
You mentioned jobs. Are there a lot of veterans that are unemployed in Lee County?
The veterans that I see are mainly Vietnam era veterans. So they're in the retired group. We haven't seen the influx we expected to see from the Desert Storm and in that era. So most of those are still working. I don't have any statistics where I can tell you that X number of veterans are out of jobs or whatever.
But are there efforts for veterans to get connected to jobs through your assistance?
We use BEST here in the building, and we also use Goodwill has a program that they have a coordinator that does veterans assistance as far as jobs and stuff that they hold a job fair every quarter. It's either here at the Legion or the VFW.
Who holds a job fair?
Goodwill.
Goodwill.
Goodwill Industries.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
But I come from a background in economic development, and there's a huge number of positions open all over Rochelle, I know, and probably through Dixon. And I find it interesting that there's just not a connection of the worker who's got certain capabilities and the employer who needs those. And for some whatever reason, the two don't meet.
I think we both know the reason. A lot of them don't want to work. I could tell you stories about, guys come into me and I'm looking for a job. What did you do before? Well, I had a job. Well, what are you looking for? a job. Okay. And I mean, these guys know me kind of well. And I said to one, I said, if you start at Culver's and come south on Galena, you'll pass probably 20 businesses.
Yeah.
With we're hiring, but yet you can't go into that building. So we both know the answer.
Yeah, perennial problem. Jeremy, as far as, I guess, moving forward, we're, without objection to the finance committee, we'll plan on putting the position in the budget. I don't think doesn't sound like we have much of a choice, Jim. But
Yeah, and if that's the plan, I mean, we can go ahead and post that. We know we have money in the fund to cover in case something, there's a mix-up, but I
Right.
just wanted to make sure that finance was okay with moving that forward, budgeting for this, and then we could.
yeah, that's the main, I guess that's the main question is that moving forward, I guess, we don't have to take a vote but is there any objection to moving forward with putting the position in place?
No, I don't have any objection, but one of the things I'd like to know is, has anybody from the county ever spoken to Congressman LaHood or Senator Ariano and said, hey, this is an unfunded mandate, burden on local government. What can you guys do about it? Has there been any effort to do that?
I've done it.
Okay. And what about LaHood?
I haven't talked to LaHood, but.
I
yeah.
haven't spoken directly to them about this, but the
Senator Ariano.
Senator Ariano is a veteran, so.
Oh,
he's-
yeah, I know.
He's well aware of what's going on.
I've known Senator Ariano since he was
And,
this high.
and Representative Fritz too.
Mike, do you have a comment?
The thing that strikes my thought that I had there, not that, is what happens in the event that you don't comply with an unfunded mandate. Not that saying we should do that, but that's the thought that comes to mind for me. It's like, all right, you don't provide funding, you provide a mandate. I assume I'm not the first person who've been like, all right, well, what happens when there isn't the money to do what we're mandated to do?
There are counties that obviously feel the same way.
Right. And I'm not trying to use this as an excuse to not fund you.
Oh,
It's just like, you're not the first, or this isn't the first unfunded. That's pretty common in Illinois. That, let's make a mandate.
If
let's
I
not
had,
fund it.
the old joke is if I had a nickel,
Yeah.
I'd be a wealthy
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
For every
So
time the
what-
state unfunded mandate came from the
Yeah,
state.
so, okay, what's the effect of not complying with an unfunded mandate?
Right.
Like I said, I got an email from the Attorney General the other day, and I talked to Jeremy about this, and the hip hop training on VAC funding, VAC funding, will address common questions about VAC funding and debunk myths to assist veteran assistant commissions and county boards in the administration of MVAA benefits. Veteran Service Organization, County Veteran Assistant Commissions, and county board members are encouraged to attend. This training will be held on Thursday, September 4th, 2025, from 11:30 a.m. to 12 p.m. Do by Zoom or phone. So I have that information if you want to jump on there and find out. And the Attorney General is one that's really handling this, because there are counties with the exact same question that you have. And there are a lot of counties in the state of Illinois, like I said at the beginning, the VAC offices were mandated by state statute way back in the 20s and 30s, right after World War I and that. So that part of it is. The new part is the Veteran Service Officer, which we do not have. The closest Veteran Service Officer is in Ogle County, which we were using quite often, but she's one person. And last year, she saw 115 veterans from Lee County to file claims and answer questions. So she's handling Ogle County, and a lot are coming out of Boone County and that. And I mean, this position is, something when we do post it, it's not going to happen overnight. you know, because we have to find somebody qualified, first of all, and probably train. Because there's not a person standing on the corner saying, hey, I'm a VSO. I want to go to work. So it's gonna be, you know, it could be, well, we've been, like I said, we've been talking about this for 5 years and finally, you know, this came out about 2 years ago. So, you know, counties are still dragging their feet.
Well, and probably be mainly because there's not a funding
Funding,
mechanism behind
right,
it.
right.
And everybody's budget's tight, just like ours is. Tom, go ahead.
Jim, it's been a few years since I've been in your office, so I apologize. Is there room in there for this person or,
No, we're gonna have to find somebody someplace else. And
so we're gonna have to have an office and furniture and,
we talked, and it's probably gonna have to be downstairs in the basement of the new building.
okay. That's another cost we're gonna have.
Mhm.
Absolutely. So,
Just a comment, my dad is a disabled vet and has used your services and even driven for you. So very familiar with that and appreciate the work that you do. And I understand the struggles that they go through, which is hard. So to have that resource, you know, I think it's one of those things until you're in it, you don't really realize how valuable it is. So, yeah, definitely support the work that you do and thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
all right. Well, I hear no objections, so we'll move forward with the inclusion of the budget of the new VSO. So thanks, Jim. Appreciate you coming in and spending the time with us this morning.
And one closing note,
Yeah.
Lee County funds and supports veterans better than any county in northern Illinois. I can tell you that.
No, that's good to know. Appreciate that. Yeah.
Did you receive ARPA funds? No?
All right. Thanks, Jim. Appreciate it. Okay, next up is a resolution to reorganize the Lee County Finance Director position under the County Administrator. We talked about this, been talking about this for some time. This is the official resolution to make it happen. Hope everybody had a chance to read through that. Charlie, do you have any comments on the resolution?
No, sir.
Committee have any questions in regards to the resolution?
Yeah, why are
Mike?
we doing this?
Hmm?
But yeah, why are we, what's the reason for the reorganization?
The reorganization is to put the finance director under the hierarchy of the administrator to make a coherent hierarchical structure. I couldn't say that 3 times. I was lucky to get
Seems-
through that first time. Go
Yeah,
ahead,
what's the
Mike.
real reason?
What's that?
What's the real reason?
You want the real reason?
Yeah.
Because the treasurer can be a layperson that doesn't have a background in finance, and we want to make sure that the finance director is a consistent position over time.
So if we like elect a Trump-esque finance treasurer next time, we need the finance guy to kind of run stuff?
The way the statute is, the treasurer is a limited responsibility position. And as the county grows, we need to have a finance director, and the finances of the county needs to be taken care of consistently.
No, got it. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Any other discussion in regards to the resolution? Entertain a motion to move this on to executive for inclusion on the county board agenda. Moved by Kitson, seconded by Naylor. Although, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. Down to C, and this goes right along with what we just did. And I don't know enough about it to discuss it, so I'm going to hand this over to Jeremy.
Sure. So with that change, as well as the addition of the Human Resources Director, there needed to be some updates within the financial policies and procedures that aligned with what we're doing operationally. So anything that you see in here is due to those changes in how we are actually operating. So essentially, there's minimal real changes through the policies and procedures as a whole, except for, changes how we do new employee onboarding. So it reflects what we're doing operationally. Same with the employee termination, the payroll process and the structure with that, the record keeping, and then it just adds in a new little section that talks about the separation of duties and collaboration between the finance director and the treasurer's office with the ongoing operational collaboration that's going to be needed through our current structure. So not a ton of changes, but again, it's just to align with what we're doing operationally already. And then with the change to the hierarchical operational structure with Reed and the treasurer's office.
Speaking of the treasurer's office, Paul, is there any comments you'd like to make in regards to the change?
No, well, to be honest, I haven't read it. So I didn't see it on the onboard until 15 minutes before the meeting, so I haven't had a chance. But if it's nothing more than definitional changes, not actual policy or procedure change, then I would say we are good with that.
Okay.
Meaning, you know, like, hey, instead of it saying treasurer, finance person does this, then I'm okay with it, you know. But a policy change or a procedural change in that we're changing how we do something accounting wise, I would want to see that and review it first.
There's nothing that states in there that's for accounting purposes really, except for what we've already discussed within the operations. We have time. This is you guys putting it forward. It's an ordinance. It's going to have to be held over. There's a couple tweaks that Charlie just talked to me about anyway. So in you know, what this framework is, is what we're going to move forward, and then we'll tweak as we need to.
And part of this is going to be, I mean, operationally, I think we had a meeting earlier that, you know, we talked about how this is going to be kind of a work in progress from a practicality standpoint of how,
Yeah, I think you have
you
to,
know,
I think you have to put your toe in the sand and see how it feels, you know,
exactly.
make it work. And if you find something that doesn't work, we're going to need to change it.
So I guess I would recommend to the committee, make sure you read through the changes. And if there are any concerns, you know, we can deal with them, you know, through the process. Okay?
Just a question
Jennifer.
on that as we look to align and, you know, obviously with the form of government and how we do things, but sorry if I missed it. Is there an org chart that we can kind of see how that aligns with all the different positions?
We have a current org chart that is going to need to be adjusted. So we're going to work through that as well, but we could get that updated.
Yeah.
But you do have an org chart onboard in your files.
Okay.
Any other comments, questions? Hearing none, I entertain the motion to approve the draft amendments of the finance, move that onto executive for inclusion in the board agenda. Moved by Acree, second by Naylor. Any discussion? Hearing, yep, Jennifer?
I would thought that there was a comment that more changes needed to be made, so.
Well, we're going to move this, we got to move the current draft forward. Any adjustments from there, I will communicate and we'll go from there. But we have a little bit of time to make some amendments.
then it
So-
comes back this way, is that-
It won't come back, but you guys will see that and then we'll move it. It will continue to move forward because we'll have that holdover period.
See it at full count board, is that-
Mhm.
So, yeah, as a reminder, so if there would, let's say that Charlie would recommend some changes coming, that would be, so we're going to include it as written for the board agenda, or eventually, unless there's changes at the exec committee, but it'd be included at the board meeting. And changes, the recommended changes, let's say Charlie would be included at that meeting. And then if that was approved, then it would be held over for the 30 days. And technically, Charlie, correct me if I'm wrong, if there was concerns beyond that, and this is true with any ordinance, you could recommend changes to a ordinance, and then it would have to be held over for an additional 30 days. So there's all kinds of opportunity for if there's concerns or changes that need to be made by the county board members. Okay? All right. All right. Any further discussion? Got a motion on the floor? Okay. Everybody in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. All right. Then we have D, resolution establishing a full-time public defender position for Lee County. We discussed this when Public Defender Thompson was in. And And what came out of that meeting was to go ahead and propose the resolution establishing the full-time position. Charlie, do you have any comments in regards to the resolution?
No comments. What I will say is that Jeremy was nice enough to put this together, and then Mr. Thompson and Judge Ackert and I reviewed it. Primarily, I wanted to get their take on all of the language in there, make sure it fit for the plans moving forward for the next person that may step into that role. Both Judge Ackert and Mr. Thompson were fine with the resolution in and of itself, and I just wanted to make sure the timeline was going to be acceptable, and they were fine with that as well.
Okay. All right. All right, we'll get a motion on the table, moved by Kitson, seconded by Dallas. Discussion. Is there any, yep.
Just a
Jason.
question in regards to the public defender's position. Is it partially funded by outside funds outside the county?
So I'm not sure how it works out right now. Paul will be
Yeah.
able to answer that, but when it goes
Yeah,
to
the state-
full-time, then yes, for sure.
Yeah, even at a part-time, the state does reimburse us an amount. It's not the full amount, but it does reimburse us an amount of the salary that has been established for the county. And then as we go to full-time, it'll be 2/3 of that. And then the county, so in essence, it's almost a wash for what we're doing today anyway. Basically, what the county's picking up today would be 1/3 of the full-time that you're gonna do because the state's gonna pick up 2/3.
And these items were included in the proposed budget.
Yes.
Yeah, so in our discussion, okay.
Yes. Okay. Everybody good? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. We have no executive session for this morning. Is there anything else good for the cause? Anybody have? Hearing none, I entertain motion to adjourn. Moved by Naylor, seconded by Dallas. All those in favor signify by saying aye.